I have the chance to review a few BetaFPV products in the past and I haven't been very happy with them. Recently I got the chance to review the Pavo 25V2, which surprisingly I'm actually very happy with that drone. I found it to fly very well. I'm finding the product to be like very well finished. Price is good, nothing bad about it, to be honest. And since recently I've been flying much more indoors with small tiny whoops to learn to fly freestyle, I also got myself a Meteor 65, the Pro version I believe, and I'm also very happy with that drone. I have crashed the hell out of that small thing and it hasn't broken. Like my Mobile 6 broke quite fast after a few crash. The Meteor 65 is still going and it's working fine. I can fly it perfectly. I'm happy with the way that it's flying. So thinking about this new kind of trend, getting BetaFPV products and they're working fine, I decided to go on and keep testing some of their products to see if they're getting better for real, like if it's a real trend, or it's just good luck that I got a few products which were working fine. To try a new product, I got myself this transmitter, LRS 2.5 GHz transmitter from BetaFPV, the nano version, right? The small one, which is gonna be easy to compare to the main one, to the first one, because that was one of the products that gave me more headaches when I got it the first time. What do you do when you get a new transmitter? The main idea of the transmitter is that you put it on your radio, you connect it, you bind it somehow with any of the LRS methods, and then you should be able to drive your drone directly. No fuss, no hassles, right? And that was my first test with this thing. I got it, I put it on the radio, I connected Wi-Fi because it's my favorite way to connect to LRS. I wrote my passphrase and I rebooted the device. And it connected directly to my drone as it's expected. So here BetaFPV got one first star and I was getting happy and thinking, okay, maybe there is something good here that I have to check. There are not that many things that you can look into a transmitter like this one, LRS especially, that is different than the rest of the people. So I was trying to read the manual to see what was special about this transmitter. Of course, these days, an LRS transmitter that doesn't get to 1 watt, it's going to be weird. And this one doesn't disappoint in that sense. The 2.4 GHz gets to 1 watt. The 950 MHz version of this transmitter actually goes to 2 watts, which is something that is pretty interesting for those ones doing long range flight. As any of the transmitters these days which goes that high in power, you need to have a fan to cool it down after, I believe 250 milliwatts is the threshold for the fan to start. Then you get this new thing that is happening in the FPV world, that everything has to have LEDs. Everything has to have some kind of lights. I'm not so sure why this is happening, but it's happening, right? And in this transmitter, you have one LED at the front, and this one has something that is a little bit cool. The color is going to indicate you a different kind of things. Once that is bound and you have connectivity to your drone, both are on and you're ready to go and fly, the color showing on that LED is actually going to tell you the refresh rate that you are using. But in order to understand this, or to know, to identify that color, you have to either know that range of colors in your head, or you have to have the manual with you so you can compare. And I don't know, like, when are you going to do any of those two things? If you're in the field, you're not gonna carry the manual with you to see what color you have and the refresh rate. You go to the screen and you figure it out from the Luo script. And it's very difficult to think that anyone is going to remember all the color range that is going to point you to the right refresh rate. So even if it's a cool feature that they're doing and it looks nice and these kind of things, I'm not so sure that is something that is valuable, or that you are going to choose this receiver over some other just because of that feature. You tell me, What do you think? Write in the comments something about it. Is this LED tendency something good? Are you buying your drone or a transmitter just because it has LED? I don't know, you tell me. Another novelty of this transmitter is actually something that I'm finding useful. In the front you have two buttons. These buttons can be programmed to do different things. You have some default values there that you can use. I believe binding, it's by default on the left button. But for example, I use Wi-Fi a lot, as I said in the beginning, to do my checkups of the version that is on the transmitter, to make sure that the passphrase is correctly and all this kind of thing. So I can assign the right button to, if I double click on that, I will go into Wi-Fi mode. And that's something that is cool. It's the first time that I'm seeing it in any transmitter. And if you are a different kind of pilot that you need to change some other parameters, you have a list there that you can select from and assign the buttons to one of those actions. That's something that I'm liking. My second step when it comes to testing this thing was to update the transmitter. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit story here so you understand. The version 1 of this transmitter, when it came out, I got one because it was one of the first Express LRS transmitters that was out there. And I decided to test it, right? The first device that I got, I couldn't upgrade it using the configurator, the Express LRS configurator. It just didn't want to. And when I started to check on the internet, you needed to do some kind of hack, opening the device and soldering a resistor in something there and here, so it can actually be detected by the computer and do the upgrade. This for me was a fatal problem that that BetaFPV had at that time, because one of the main things that you want to do is to upgrade your transmitter, right? The software has to be upgraded, and Express LRS developer team is doing a great job giving us new versions all the time. And when I open a case with BetaFPV, they told me something like you can upgrade it in different ways, like Wi-Fi, for example. And it was true, you could do it over Wi-Fi, but the fact that the USB method didn't work for me was a big fail. I got a second transmitter of those ones because I wanted to have a working one, and because BetaFPV had created a new revision with that resistor in there, so the problem shouldn't exist anymore. And it's true, the problem didn't exist on that second version for the USB, but at that time the Wi-Fi didn't work. Why? Don't ask me, I don't know. I tried to troubleshoot with the technical support from BetaFPV, it didn't work, they didn't do anything else, they didn't help me much more than that, and at that time I just left that there. I threw away those transmitter. Well, I still have it, I didn't throw it away, but I never used it again because I couldn't rely on something that it will work with one method and the other didn't, and this kind of thing. That's why I wanted to test how did it go for this one to upgrade. And I got it into the Express LRS configurator. I selected the new software and I clicked on upgrade, and everything was going fine until it rebooted. And it was dead. I said directly, okay, BetaFPV hasn't actually improved much on their things. How can it be that just upgrading the device will break it? I was ready to throw it on the trash, being unhappy with it, until I was reviewing my videos, because I'm saving all this and checking, and I saw that I actually chose the software for the V1. At that moment I said, okay, it was my problem, user problem, right? User error. But I had a brick device now, and I wasn't sure that I could revive it. But I tried. I connected it to the computer using again the Express LRS configurator, chose the right software this time and click on upgrade with my fingers crossed because there was no light, there was no connectivity, there was no sign of life on this device at that moment. And for my surprise, it worked. It upgraded very quickly, it rebooted and everything was fine. Even my custom buttons were there. My passphrase was already in there, everything worked. And here, I'm telling you in this video that I think BetaFPV is doing something good. It took them some time. Version 1 came out a long time ago. Version 2 is coming out now, these days. I would say more than a year between them, but it's here and it's working, and I'm a little bit more confident on giving my money to BetaFPV because it looks like they are doing the right thing, and that's something that I appreciate. The last test that you have to do in one of these transmitters to call it a good product will be some kind of range test or signal testing. But I don't have the right equipment to do those things, and I'm sure that the Express LRS developers are going to check that and put it on their wiki, because they have a wiki with all the manufacturers and how good the signal is or something like that they show in with some bars to identify the quality of the signal. I'm hoping that they will do that test and include this transmitter in there so we can actually know the quality of the product on that sense. Last point that I'm going to touch about this model is the price, because you could have a very good product, but if it's priced the wrong way, no one is going to buy it. To do that, I'm going to compare this with what I call the standard of the transmitters these days for Express LRS, which is the Radio Master Ranger series. Choosing the nano version, because this is a nano version for the Express LRS transmitter, you can see that the price on their website is $39.99 US, while the price of the BetaFPV is $44.99, $5 more expensive. Is there anything on this device that is worth $5 more than the Ranger? Well, you tell me. Maybe the buttons is something that you find very useful. Maybe the LED is something that you find very useful. But beside that, I would say that the feature set of each one of them are very similar. Still, $5 is not a big deal, but if you have to choose one versus the other, I would say that it's a very close competition. Again, you have to remember the part of the signal. Whenever we get that information, it would be good to have to compare and see if there is anything. But at this point, I'm going to say like this. I don't see anything super special about this transmitter, but it's at the same price, of almost at the same price as the rest of the things are out there. So that makes it an okay choice. It's going to be much more about what's available, what's not available. If you have a good relationship with them, or if you're buying more things from BetaFPV, you can put it in the same package and get this nice transmitter. One last thing that I'm going to say that I like from the BetaFPV, or what BetaFPV is doing, is the fact that they have this adapter which can take the nano version and just change it to a regular JR Bay transmitter. That gives a little bit of flexibility to the transmitter, because then you can move the transmitter from a small radio to a big radio just having this adapter. So in terms of, is this the next transmitter that you're gonna buy? I don't know, you tell me. I don't think that is something bad. I don't see anything that is definitely a no or definitely a yes, you need to buy it. But what I do see is that BetaFPV is actually, it seems to be getting better. Like their products lately, I haven't been disappointed by any of the last products that I've gotten from them. Things are working. I haven't had to call their technical support, which is a pro. I don't know if they have gotten better, but at least the product seems to be getting more reliable, and that's good for all of us in the FPV community. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give us a like. That helps us quite a lot. Thank you for watching and see you soon.